All right, with that, we're going to move on to our program for today, and it's my pleasure to introduce Bill Jackson. Bill has been staying active, I guess, since he retired 12 years ago after his career as a project manager for Mortensen Construction. Bill had a busy travel schedule this spring. Many of you know this. First spending 2 weeks in Mila Trace, Honduras, getting the Mila Trace Rotary Water Project very close to completion. Bill returned from Honduras on March 30th, just in time to experience the April Fool's Day snowstorm that we all live with. And then leave on April 2nd for Dar es Salaam. I don't know if I said that right correctly, Tanzania, to spend 6 weeks with his daughter and her family. It was great spending time on the beautiful beaches of Zanzibar and Dar with his 3 grandchildren, aged 6, 8, and 10. 1 week after returning from Tanzania, Bill went on his annual fishing trip to the Boundary Waters for a week. After all the travels, Bill's looking forward to spending time with his family this summer at his cabin in Spooner, Wisconsin, and maybe we'll see him more often. But please welcome Bill Jackson. I don't know where he's sitting. There he is.
The bad news with all those travels, I re-injured my hip, so I got bursitis, so I can't golf right now. So, I got the pleasure this morning of introducing our own Kurt Nelson, and many of you know his endeavors, but I'll read his bio for those that are new to Kurt. Kurt is sought after behavioral scientist and recognized leader in human motivation and behavioral change. For over 20 years, Kurt has worked with global companies to apply behavioral science principles to drive change in their organizations. He is founder and president of the Lantern Group, a communication and behavior design agency, which uses behavioral science insights to improve employee engagement and motivation. He also is the co-founder with Tim Houlihan of the Behavior Grooves podcast, where they interview leading academic and business executives from around the world and explore how they apply behavioral science to their work and lives. All this work focuses on understanding ways to positively influence how people behave. Let's welcome Kurt Nelson.
All right. So today is a Rotary Roundtable. So we are going to have an opportunity at your tables and online to talk about some very interesting topic. And David already took away my thunder because I was going to read the intro that I had AI do for me, but it's long as well. So I figured you didn't want to sit through 2 of those, and they called you ladies and gentlemen, and I just didn't feel that fit. So, but with that, what we're going to talk about today is how does artificial intelligence, how do we think it's going to impact us? How is it already impacting us? What are those factors around it that could be beneficial? I mean, you heard David in that intro talking about all of the great things that it could do, all of the ways that it can help us be a better society, better in our work, better as a Rotary community. But there's also potential downsides on it. And how do we make sure that we are taking those into account in various different things? So at your table, you should find a little sheet of paper that has these. And for the people that are online, the 3 questions are this. And so we're going to have you talk about that. We'll ask that some person at your table becomes the recorder. And then we will have a little bit of time to talk through these questions. And then we will present back out to the entire group as to what we talked. But the questions are this. And you're going to have to guess which of these questions were written by me and which were written by AI. Here we go. What are some practical examples of AI applications that you have encountered in your everyday life, and how do you feel about their integration into society? 2, how do you perceive the impact of artificial intelligence on our society, your job, education, and the economy, both currently and in the future? And how can we utilize AI in Rotary? Should we utilize it? Should we utilize it in Rotary? What are the benefits and or risks for us as a club or Rotary International as an organization? So with that, we will go ahead and at your tables, start having those conversations. Have one person remember to be a recorder, and then we'll present back out to the group. Any questions? Good, go. Hopefully you guys had some good conversation. It sounded like it. The room was a buzz. I don't know online. It's me, you guys see, maybe you're doing this as well. So one of the things that our table talked about was just like, what is artificial intelligence, and kind of trying to figure some of that out as well. But I want to open it up now. So we're just going to go around the room. Anybody that wants to share some of the insights, and we don't have to go through each of these 3 questions, but obviously that was just a guideline. Who wants to start? Who wants to talk about what they did? David, did you already have this set up beforehand? Oh, by the way, let me pull out. Here is my piece.
We really focused on the third question about how Rotary could use it. And we thought there would be ways in which we could identify young professionals between 25 and maybe 40 years of age who are really interested in being part of doing networking, community service, be part of an important community. And we could identify them within, 20 miles. And those are prospects for us to go after, to bring in, maybe to have an event or something like that.
Very good. Who else? Sean.
They were far more productive than we were. I think it was a fair question to ask at our table, the distinction between AI and just a really fancy computer program. So some baseline, and we kind of landed on the generative part, that it is participatory in this conversation, and then it's generating it for the next person, the next person, the next person. So we saw many ways that it could be dangerous, and many ways there could be pitfalls. I mean, we certainly saw during COVID that people's isolation did not help them. So it seems like we could have some isolation issues with AI. But Addie is going to get a boyfriend on AI. So she's
Be careful. There's no moral compass in AI. So you have to wonder sometimes. All right, Rob.
Yeah, here at our table, we first of all had a master class, thanks to Hugh, who explained in his own experience how AI is being used and the pluses and the minuses, and particularly the advantages. We talked about ChatGPT, an example of an AI application that many are hearing about. We talked about another one that I use a lot, which is is called Bard. It's actually a low power version of AI by Google, which really can accelerate your getting the information you're looking for about certain subjects and prepare to talk about them. We talked about deep fake and how that works and what role AI plays in that. Also, Hugh pointed out the medical diagnostic uses, which generally are seen as very positive, that they can see with AI things that even the best radiologists, let's say, could not see. And they'll point it and call attention to it that he might have missed or she might have missed. Same thing with prescriptive uses in AI. In manufacturing, there are many prescriptive uses where you look at database and you can predict what's going to happen, whether you see it or not. It's going to happen unless you intervene in some way. So all those things. The one thing that caused a lot of discussion was the fact that you can have it disclose your location. You can choose whether you want your location disclosed, because many of the apps we would use every day depend on the system knowing where you are, so they can tell you what lies ahead in terms of traffic, et cetera, and give you alternate routes. So that all requires disclosure of your location. And the question is, how often, and is that permanent? Do they follow you wherever you go, whether you want to or not? Those are the kinds of questions we had here. Then on Rotary, I think the table over there that Dave is at was listening to our table, because Keith here suggested we could use it for membership management in a predictive way to look at the data and help determine whether the likelihood that somebody's going to continue to stay and be happy as a member or not. And so onward and onward. But I think the best summary is the one I like to say. The good news is that AI emulates human intelligence. The bad news is that AI emulates human intelligence. So
Nicely done. That table gets a gold star. There you go. All right, in the back. Up.
So luckily Brock has used ChatGPT and could explain to us what it was. So we spent a lot of time saying, is this AI? Is that not AI? And figuring out what was and wasn't AI. But Brock raised the issue that it's great for a generative tool for ideas. And if you want to just get a list of ideas, and Brock had used it in working to respond to an RFP where he was looking for some ideas on that topic. But as Brock pointed out, it lies all the time.
Yeah.
And I was saying all lawyers have heard about this case where people had their brief written by AI and they submitted it, and it just cited a bunch of cases that didn't exist and they got sanctioned. So I think every lawyer probably is saying, I'm never using ChatGPT. But if you might use it to generate some ideas and then actually do the research yourself. Let's see. We also talked about the fact that often the answers are too generic, that it's an excellent use of language, like as David demonstrated this morning, but it's redundant, can be very redundant and keeps hitting the same points over and over. And for a Rotary application, we thought it might be good for working on writing grant applications and something technical like that.
Very good. I think the back table has one, and then let's go online. And I think then we're probably running close to time. David.
I'll pick it up. Yeah, so we hit a lot on a lot of the same things the other table did. Two ideas that we discussed, which are potential downsides, is one, it's what's called the black box problem, which is we lose the ability to trace how it is the AI does particular things, produces particular outcomes, which makes it very difficult for us to figure out whether or not it is correct, like Scott identified, or whether or not what are kind of the ethical implications or decisions that were made in producing the particular answer. So loss of human control. Second issue is that the kind of macro powers of AI to reshape society, like the intro talked about, are ones that are very data dependent. And so corporations, individuals that have the data will be able to do those particular things, but those are not, most of those institutions are not accountable to democratic decision-making processes, and has, kind of the potential to reshape the world in good ways, but also has the potential to replicate a lot of the disparities and exacerbate those that we currently see, especially as it trickles up into white-collar professions that might see the same types of disruptions that we saw in manufacturing with the advent of globalization.
No. Very good. Online, anybody want to share what you guys talked about there? You're all on mute if somebody's trying to talk. Dick, make Dick talk.
Of course, you're going to make me talk.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, we touched on some of the things that we felt like AI could do for Rotary, and then we talked a little bit more about the sort of broader societal implications, including the benefits to education. And Sangam had a good story about using ChatGPT to schedule an Alaska trip that he went on. And we kind of use that as a model for comparing it to other challenges and other opportunities.
Yeah. So thank you guys. And again, it is an interesting piece. And as we asked, like I asked my table, so what do we think is for the future? And everybody at the table just said, we don't know, right? I mean, it is wide open at this point, and I think there's a lot of potential, but there's a lot of things, as the back table mentioned, and various different things that we need to be concerned about. We'll come back to this maybe next year and say, where are we? We'll see how much has changed, and we'll go from there. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. Also want to thank our volunteers for today. Our greeter, Dave Helwich in the back, Reflection, perfectly fitting, David Wheeler, Happy Bucks, obviously wonderful from Doug Schmidt, our day chair, Bill Jackson, Anna Coskren and Greg for our Zoom masters and our club admin, Dick. And we didn't have any guests today, but thank you all for joining. So next week, just remind everybody, we will not be here. So please do not come on Wednesday morning. We will be on a boat to celebrate Julie's installation. So unfortunately, it is full. So there is no more seats unless you want to call Julie and try to twist her arm. But
looking for a seat, I have an answer.
okay, Scott's got an extra seat. He's selling. Highest bidder. But so that's next Wednesday, the 14th. We'll be on a boat in the evening. So please join us for that. June 21st. I see that Heller Zerhut is here to talk about genetic counseling. I believe that's the program. Don't believe that's correct. Hugh. Oh, huge improv. Oh, Brock is presenting. It sounds like no. Okay. It's an improv. So we're going to improvise. All right. And then the 28th, which is again my last meeting, but Minnesota BWSR lawns to legumes. Your yard can be the change. It's about bees, if you can't figure that out. And then we're into the next fiscal year. So with that, go out and have a wonderful Rotary week.